Good afternoon and welcome to Spotlight on Your Health, brought to you by Atrio Health Plans. I'm Dan Bain, and our guest in the studio today is a pretty new doctor to Douglas County, Dr. Kaylan Weese, a dermatologist. Thank you for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background to start with. First of all, you're a dermatologist. Where did you come from? Where did you get your training, and how did you end up in Roseburg?
Well, I'm originally from Oklahoma. I came to Oregon by way of my residency training at Oregon Health Sciences University. This was quite a few years ago. But it didn't take very long before my husband and I completely fell in love with Oregon. We weren't crazy about living in Portland because, you know, we're both from small towns, small farming communities, sort of similar to Roseburg, actually.
Right.
So we looked outside of Portland for other opportunities, and that's when we found Roseburg. So he's been here for a couple years working, and I'm finally here. We're together. We really love Roseburg.
You're talking about your husband, Dr. Josh Weese, who is an oncologist at the Community Cancer Center. So it's nice to have you both here in Roseburg.
Well, thank you.
Well, what about your specialty? What drew you to dermatology?
I enjoy dermatology because there's a little bit of everything. We treat inflammatory processes in the skin, but also skin cancer. I'm able to see adults and children. You know, for the most part, dermatology is fun. It's a fun environment to be in, and it's a visual specialty. Most cases we can look at things and make diagnoses without having to do a lot of extra testing, and I really enjoy that.
What's the most common thing that you would treat?
Really, skin cancer is becoming the most common thing that we treat. Skin cancer is the most common type of cancer diagnosed in the United States every year, which means that we see a lot of folks for that.
You'd think that people in sunny locations would get a lot more of that than they would here in the Northwest, but I understand we have a pretty high incidence of skin cancer here.
We do. Actually, in Douglas County, we have one of the highest rates of melanoma in the country.
Why would that be?
You know, there's a lot of speculation about that. We're not sure.
Not sure.
It's there's been some efforts more recently to look at melanoma in our state in patients compared to other patients that don't have melanoma, and try to tease out the trends and things that they may be exposed to that could explain why our rates are so high. But the bottom line is right now we're not sure.
So what's your advice to people that are out in the sun a lot?
Well, I think here the trouble is we have so many cloudy days that when the sun finally comes out, in a way we're sort of starved for the sun, and so we want to go out and get as much sun as we can. But to just try to keep in mind that every amount of sun exposure you get is going to elevate your risk for skin cancer, so try to protect your skin.
Yeah.
Physical protection is always the best. Hats, long sleeve shirts, but when that's not practical, sunscreen is your next best choice.
And should you have checkups regularly, or when should you start having checkups for skin?
Anytime that you see anything new that's growing, anything that's itchy or painful, bleeding, those are concerning signs for skin cancer, and someone should evaluate you, either your primary care physician or a dermatologist. Patients that have a family history of skin cancer or have had a skin cancer themselves should be evaluated more regularly, either on a yearly basis, or sometimes we can even see patients more frequently than that.
Is there a certain age where you should make it a regular thing?
Well, the most commonly affected population are actually men in their 50s and 60s.
Really?
So it's probably not a bad idea if you know, for men that have had a lot of sun exposure, just to kind of establish a baseline, have a skin exam, make sure there's nothing there.
Yeah. Well, we're quickly getting down to the end of the program, but why don't you tell us where you're located, and are you taking new patients?
Yes, I am taking new patients. I share space with Dr. Gady. We're located on Northwest Edenbauer Boulevard, just behind Albertsons, Walmart, over in that area.
And you just call the office for an appointment?
Just call the office.
Do you know the number right off the top of your head?
It's 541-957-1141.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we're glad to have you in Roseburg.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Spotlight on Your Health today. Hope you have a great day.
Spotlight on Your Health is brought to you by Atrio Health Plans.